Hey there everyone, Touhoua here. I recently rewatched both seasons 1 and 2 of Fallout because I couldn't remember if there were any instances of Lucy ever using VATS, or is she like me refusing to use it during my playthroughs of the Fallout series? Well, before I answer that question, let me explain what it is. I know some of you may have never played a Fallout game before, so I'll try my best to explain it. Then I'll go through every one of her scenes where she handled a gun because VATS is Fallout's most iconic signature combat mechanic. So Vault Tech Assisted Targeting System, aka VATS, is a combat mechanic that slows down time using action points, or AP for short, to target a specific part of the body, typically the head for headshots that could blind the target, making them miss you more often, and it typically deals 2 times more damage on certain enemies. You can also target the arms, which can make them drop their weapons, aim at the body for a better hit percent chance, or aim at the groin, for reasons. And finally, you can aim at the legs that can make the enemies fall or limp, slowing them down tremendously or preventing them from moving at all. VATS will apply differently to every single enemy out. Alright, with that out of the way, let's try to answer the question. Also, warning, I will be covering scenes from season 1 and 2, so if you don't want to get spoiled, click away now. Our first scene to cover is episode 1. It starts with her introduction speech. She's interviewing for marriage to a member of another vault. We then see her in the vault shooting range, practicing her commando perk on a target dummy, and I like to think this is one of the most important details, foreshadowing her shooting abilities throughout the whole show. She states that she is not good at shooting, yet we see something entirely different. On the target, we can clearly see she lands all her shots around the heart. One thing that I didn't mention earlier is in the game, you could use VATS to target mines, enemies, and for certain body parts, but you can never use it on inanimate objects like loot, junk, weapons, magazines, for example. I'm bringing this up now because there's no way she would have been able to use VATS to land all those shots on a piece of paper. Later in this episode during her wedding, the other vault turned out to be raiders in disguise and they launch an attack on everyone in the vault. She gets into an encounter with a raider in a narrow straight hallway where he rushes at her. She accurately shoots a dart right into the chest of the raider, knocking him out instantly. We could explain it away as it would be easier to shoot a target running towards her, but the next scene says otherwise because in the next scene, one of the raiders has her brother pinned down and about to stab him with a knife. She shoots the raider directly in the eyeball, incapacitating her immediately. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see her shoot, so I can only assume from her previous engagements, she either has good aim or an eagle-eye perk with a high perception stat that she used VATS off screen to land that shot, but I don't know. Let's keep going. Alright, now we move on to episode 2, and towards the end of this episode, Lucy and the ghoul meet for the first time at Mahjong Sunrise, where they engage in a gunfight over Dr. Wilzig, who is an important person to the whole plot of this season. We see another moment where Lucy lands a clean shot at the ghoul's chest with her drink gun, hitting him in the same spot she hits the target and the raider. Obviously, him being a ghoul, the drink gun has no effect, but this shows just how accurate Lucy is at marksmanship, although she denies it. Does this mean she never used VATS though? Not entirely. Let's look at all her other scenes. In episode 4, the ghoul ties Lucy up and uses her as a bargaining chip for some of his vows he needs to take from becoming fully feral. Lucy gets taken into a mart where she engages in combat with Mr. Handy, trying to saw her up. After shocking him out of commission with a defibrillator, she runs into 2 drugged up guys surrounded by caged feral and non-feral ghouls. She threatens the men to release the ghouls or they will be struck with Abraxo-filled darts, which is very deadly. After releasing them all, there is a ghoul named Martha on the verge of becoming feral. She slowly turns and rushes towards Lucy. Lucy falls back with her gun aiming at Martha and shoots her right in the noggin, killing her instantly. If we're to follow the game's logic, here's another situation where she has insane accuracy and couldn't have used VATS as it can only be used while standing or crouching and not on your back. This could be another case of just having good aim or just really lucky. Then we get to episode 5 where Maximus reveals himself to Thaddeus. This whole time he thought he was serving under Knight Titus, and being deceived angered him. He wasn't just angry, but also feared the Brotherhood's retaliation should they learn of what transpired. Therefore, he takes the fusion core out of Maximus' power armor, trapping him inside the suit, and runs off with his belongings to contact the Brotherhood. A trapped Maximus stands idly by until someone helps him out. Red rushes warm his power armor trying to claw their way into him, but luckily, Lucy finds them before they do and kills them all with a shot each. With how fast she took them out, I don't think she ever used VATS, considering how low her AP or stamina would have been up to this point. Because after saving Maximus, she faints from radiation exposure. We are now in the final episode of Season 1, and it reveals what Lucy's father, Hank McClane, has done to her mom and to Shady Sands. The acting leader of the NCR Multiverse reveals that the pharaoh sitting next to her is Lucy's mother. She became a ghoul after the destruction of Shady Sands, so Hank is to blame. She talks Lucy into giving her the cold fusion, but before it succeeds, the Brotherhood of Steel attacks the compound to retrieve it. Battle ensues, leading to many deaths. Hank eventually gets out of his prison and gets into a power armor. The ghoul then shows up and wards him off with a shot to his cheek before before he could take Lucy with him. With all the trauma and anguish, Mercy kills her mother with a shot to the head. A pain to see her mom in that form, so I like to believe that the shot was from the heart. Alright, those were all the scenes in season 1. I can never see any instances of her using VATS in any of these scenes though. I think if they were to show that she did use VATS, the appearance would look like that of the games. There were slow-mo scenes, like how it would be in the games, but I chopped them up to be cinematic edits, not entirely evidence of her ever using VATS. Anyways, we move on to season 2, and surprisingly, there weren't many scenes of her shooting at all. I watched it all again and it counts just 3 episodes. So here we go. We start season 2 in one of the most popular locations of the whole franchise, Novak. The first scene with Lucy and the ghoul in episode 1, in my opinion, has the highest probability of showing VATS being used. The ghoul is strung by his neck on top of an empty pool in Novak's hotel by the cons as Lucy readily aims her gun from the inside of the gaping jaw of the giant dinky T-Rex statue standing at the entrance of the hotel. Lucy reveals the plan she and the ghoul had revised to the cons. They decline all options and decide to fight instead. So here Lucy aims at the noose, shoots, and the ghoul is loose. She would have been able to use VATS to accurately shoot at the noose since it does not work on things like that. She then takes aim at another con, and you can see the cross sights on the target this time, but you will see her carefully move her sight towards the arm. She shoots the arm of the con with precision, disarming him. And here it is, this one scene, maybe the only one throughout the whole show that can be explained away as the show's attempt at VATS. But even still, it wouldn't explain all the other times she was really accurate though. I forgot to mention that using VATS in the game does not guarantee you hits. So here, she then shoots the hip of another con and the ghoul notices it. He notices that Lucy isn't aiming for the vitals, but to only incapacitate the enemy. He reloads his shotgun and goes insane on like the cons as Lucy shakes her head in disapproval. I think this shows so much of her character and capabilities. She never wanted to hurt anyone and always tried to be as pacifying as possible. Then only when she needed to could she handle anything that tried to hurt her or her friends. Man, this next scene hurts me in so many ways. If you haven't seen season 2, we're going to see the return of so many factions from Fallout New Vegas. In episode 4, the King returns, but with a twist. Many years after the fall of Freeside, many were lost to radiation, and all the Kingsmen were one of those unfortunate factions to have turned into ferals. The girl urges Lucy to take another way to get into the hidden vault in the Vegas Strip, but because she's addicted to Buff Out at this point, she disregards his advice and goes through the horde of Kingsmen. She shoots just about every single member through the chest as it's just another target practice. This time around, she seems to enjoy the killing more than normal because she was drugged up, but also in the recent encounter with the Pharaohs, she learned that she can't reason with them. So here you see Buffout turns her from a pacifist to a killer, as you will see again in the final scene of this video. This part of the episode ends with Lucy slowly following a fleeing leader of the Kings with a guitar strung up behind his back. She takes aim and shoots King right through the noggin. I don't see any evidence of VATS being used here either, as she lands all her shots as she has for the past encounters. She shoots each of these Kingsmen directly in the chest or in the head. Well, aside from the first one she shot in the leg because she was still trying to be a pacifist there by immobilizing him. But when she realizes the stopping power of the gun and notices that they can't be reasoned with anymore, she just goes off. Alright, now here we are with the final episode. In episode 5, Lucy and the ghoul flee the Deathclaws after their encounter in the strip to get into the Freeside market area. Not able to get past the Deathclaws, the ghoul retires into a bar to drink his sorrows away, and Lucy goes into a shop called Sunny's Sunrise to find a Dicto to get rid of her addiction to Buff Out. Not having enough caps to pay for it, she enters through the back door to steal it instead. After taking in the Dicto and the power fist that she found sitting near her window, she hears someone walking down the steps to the main floor. She tries to sneak out of the shop but stumbles upon a dead body stuffed inside of a trash can. The man who came from the top floor notices her and confronts her. She notices that the man is not the owner, but is the killer and the thief. They talk as the man slowly walks towards the pillar containing the guns. He grabs one and aims it at Lucy. She warns him and she shoots him right in the chest, dropping him instantly. She thinks she just maimed him. She goes up to talk to him, but he lies in his own blood. Yeah, so this final scene was so shocking to me. The look on Lucy's face when she found out that she killed a man, she knows that she has changed. The drugs have made her more aggressive and just less careful of her surroundings. She doesn't even know who or like what she is anymore because the lady that comes in asks her who she is and she's just like, I don't know. And right there, she realizes that she fucked up. Alright, and that concludes all the scenes in both seasons. Now on to my theory. Simply put, I don't think she ever used VATS. I think Bethesda was to ever include VATS, they would probably use something like the game and show us the slowdown with a green or amber highlight to a body part. They've already gone through so much trouble to add Easter eggs from multiple games, so considering that, I don't think it would ever be an issue to include it in the show one day. Also, from the very beginning, she was already an excellent marksman. She landed every single shot on that target with an assault rifle, a type of weapon that has a tremendous amount of recoil, and she lands them all around the chest. And time again, she has proven that she has an excellent shot. She has simply never missed the vitals of her targets and never needed VATS for that. That being said, you have reached the end of this video. Let me know what you think. Did she ever use VATS, or do you think they will show it in another season? Let me know your thoughts or theories in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.